So from time to time on this YouTube channel and on Instagram, I get asked by you guys, what's your favorite pedal? Like your one pedal that's your absolute favorite, your desert island, the thing that you would pick above all else if you could only have one. And I think that's a bit of an impossible question to ask because the pedal world is so vast and expansive. It's a bit like asking someone, what's your favorite food if you could only have one thing to eat for the rest of your life? But I think it is a valid question. What are your favorite pieces of gear? And as someone who's had the opportunity to play and own a lot of gear over the years, I have a few things that stick out to me above the rest personally that I think are great. So rather than trying to hone in on one specific pedal above all the rest, I think it's better to kind of go by categories. And so that's what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to focus in on fuzz pedals today. Now, I'm a fuzz nerd. I absolutely love fuzz pedals. If I had to pick one category of pedal that is my absolute favorite, it's definitely the fuzz. You can do so much with it, and it's such a musical effect in so many different contexts. It's not just for making your amp sound like it's gonna explode. I really do believe that fuzz pedals are the greatest. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through some of my favorite fuzz pedals. These are the pedals that I reach for whenever I want to use fuzz, which is actually all the time, basically. Some of these I've had for years that I've gigged with and bought years ago. Some of them have been given to me by the companies. I'll let you know when that is the case. And I've been using them more recently, but all of these are personal favorites of mine. These are ones that I absolutely recommend to any and everyone that asks. So if you're new to the world of fuzz, you're thinking about getting your first one, or you've had fuzz pedals for years and you're looking for something new, this might be a good video to kind of help guide you. Also, before we get started, a quick plug for my video course, the Tone course, which is available for 20% off via the link down below. We have a whole section in that course dedicated to fuzz and understanding how fuzzes work and the different types of fuzzes and how I like to use them. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description to get 20% off. All right, without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at the first pedal on today's list. First pedal we're taking a look at today is the Zvex and Chase Bliss collaboration, the Bliss Factory. Now, I bought this pedal a few months ago as soon as it came up on Reverb. This is a limited run that Chase Bliss and Zvex did together. I missed out on the first run, and so as soon as I saw them post about the second run on Instagram, I jumped right on it. Essentially, this is a fuzz factory, the famous Zvex fuzz factory, but sort of reinterpreted through the mind of Joel from Chase Bliss, which if you know anything about Chase Bliss pedals, Joel is brilliant. And what those guys are doing over there is really pushing the envelope of where pedals and guitar effects and just effects in general are going. Now, this pedal is wild and really complex, like a lot of other Chase Bliss pedals, and I haven't really even begun to scratch the surface of what this thing does and what it's good at. But the sound that I just dialed up is this really cool sort of half-cocked wah fuzz mid-rangey kind of thing. That super gated kind of Velcro fuzz. And if you roll the volume off, it gets a little more spitty. But this thing will do all kinds of stuff. So if I roll off the low pass filter here, push the stability up, bring the comp down, and the gate, now we're here. It's also got other features like an LFO and all the dip switches on the back that'll let you change and do things with this aux switch. Really, this pedal kind of deserves its own video, its own standalone video, but I've been having a ton of fun with this thing recently. Works really well on bass too, and when you combine it with these other pedals here that I've got on my test board of science, it really can get to some interesting places. So next up, we're going to take a look at the Shigaharu from AxeFx. Now, Philippe is another one of these creators who really just, I love his approach. I love the way he designs and builds pedals. The Shigaharu started life sort of as a big muff. The circuit topology is based roughly on a big muff, but he made some changes to fix some of the problems that big muffs typically have, namely that when you roll off a big muff, when you roll off the gain, they just get really dark and muddy. So essentially what he did is take what's great about a big muff, fix the problems, and then added an octave circuit to it. Now, I am obsessed with octave fuzzes. They're probably my favorite type of fuzz, and there's going to be more than one octave fuzz in this list, but this does a different thing than your typical kind of like Fox Tone Machine Octavio sort of octave fuzz. It's pretty unique. So this is the setting I had on the track that I just played, and you can tell it's pretty gnarly. It's cool. It'll definitely do that amp explode kind of thing, especially if you push the gain up. But what else is cool is if you roll the gain down to about 9 o'clock, it becomes almost more of an overdrive with this really nice upper mid-range kick to it. It's definitely different than like a Tube Screamer or any other normal type of overdrive you might think of. Check this out. That's a really cool sound. So I've got this pedal on loan from Philippe. He sent me an array of the Caroline pedals to check out a few months ago, and this is the one I've had the most fun playing. I don't want to send this one back, so I might try and buy this one from him. But yeah, the Shigaharu, it's really killer. Okay, so next up we have something really special, and technically I'm not supposed to be showing you this. This is a new pedal from BeeTronics that they sent out to me a couple of weeks ago. It's called the Vezzpa, and technically the release date isn't until the 18th, but I figure it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I'm going to show it to you anyways because this has become one of my new favorites. So the Vezzpa is really cool. I'm a huge fan of BeeTronics. In fact, I was going to put the Royal Jelly on this list, and I think this is a fantastic option for a fuzz and overdrive. This is one of my favorite pedals of all time here, but I'm going to feature the Vezzpa because it's new, because it's cool, and because I really dig it. Essentially, this is a new octave fuzz for them with some added functionality. Now, first of all, just look at it. I mean, it's so cool. And if you know anything about BeeTronics, if you crack open the inside and see their circuit boards are just as cool as they are on the outside. Now, this is the sound that I had pulled up for that little track that I just played. Super, super harsh and gnarly and just crazy. I'm getting some slapback from the Oracle here, the Mythos Oracle. But you can turn the octave on and off with the foot switch here. If you double tap, you go to the non-octave mode. And while you're playing, you can switch between the octave and the non-octave mode in real time. And you can momentarily turn the pedal on and off just by holding the foot switch, which is really cool. I've never actually seen a fuzz pedal do that before. Really creative pedal. I'm a big fan of it. Like I said, we're not technically supposed to be talking about it yet, but you know. Like the other builders on this list so far too, I really love the people over at BeeTronics. I love the aesthetic value of their pedals. The build quality is fantastic and the sounds they get are truly unique. So this is a really cool pedal. I think a lot of people are really gonna dig that, and that's probably gonna earn a spot on my main board here before too long. Okay, so next up on the list is the Cheese Ball from JHS. Now, JHS makes a lot of really great fuzzes, but I think this is probably my favorite one, which is a pretty difficult thing for me to pick. I think that the 3 Series fuzz is really great. I think the Legends of Fuzz series are really great, but to me, the Cheese Ball does something really unique. It's a clone of a very unique fuzz called the Cheese Source from a company called Love Tone. They were an English company in the 90s, and there's not a lot of those cheese sources around, and when you find one, they're really big money, but they've been used by a lot of famous players from the 90s and early 2000s. Now, I think the Cheese Ball would be a pretty good option for any player out there who's thinking about getting into fuzz, or maybe you want one fuzz to do everything. It needs to work with a variety of guitars, a variety of amps. It needs to be able to do really saturated, smooth, sustaining lead sounds and lower gain, almost overdrive kind of sounds. I think the Cheese Ball does a really good job of that. Super versatile. So here's the sound that I had for that little track. So quite a bit of gain there, but you've got this little selector switch here which changes the voice of the actual pedal. When it's off, you get something that's nice and bright. So just right there and changing that little switch around, you've got 4 completely different fuzz sounds without changing anything else on the pedal. Plenty of gain on tap, a wide sweep and tone. Check this out. And obviously it works great with slide, further proving the point that I have the superior slide tone between myself and the creator of this pedal, Mr. Josh Scott. But let it be known, once again, I've used his own pedal to prove that my slide sounds and slide playing are far superior to his. So let's move on. So next up on the list, we have the Hoof Reaper V2 from Earthquaker Devices, or Hoof Reaper. People always make fun of the way I say Hoof Reaper, but whatever. Hoof Reaper V2. This has been a staple of my rig ever since I bought it about 4 years ago. If you look closely, you can see it's kind of seen some better days, but I absolutely adore this pedal. And like the cheese ball, I think this is a really great option for someone who's looking for one fuzz pedal to do everything. Technically, this is actually 2 fuzz pedals in one box. You have the hoof over on this side, or hoof, which is Earthquaker's version of a green Russian big muff, and then you have the Tone Reaper on this side, which is I believe like a Mark II or Mark III tone bender. Now, speaking of the tone bender, why have I not talked about my tone bender Mark I? Yes, this is without a doubt one of, if not my favorite pedals I've ever owned, because of the story behind it and everything. I made a whole video about this pedal when I bought it in London last year. You can check that out up here. But I'm not going to feature it in this video because I talk about this thing all the time. If you watch this channel, you've heard me play this, you've seen me talk about it countless times. We know about the Tone Bender Mark I. Same thing with the Jextelez Canyon Climber. This is another one of my favorite fuzzes of all time, but I talk about it all the time, I play it all the time, so we're gonna save these two for honorable mentions in today's video. Now, I bought the Hoof Reaper about 4 years ago because I was looking for a good octave fuzz, and I had played one on a session up in Nashville not long before that, and I have absolutely fallen in love with this thing. It can cover just about any fuzz sound you would ever want. So the other thing I love about it is you can isolate and just run the octave up by itself, which is amazing. It sounds like this. I think that's such a cool sound. And what's cool about that is if you have other like overdrives or anything on your board, you can combine that octave up with the overdrive and get a really unique octave overdrive sound, which is super cool. But this is my standard setting for the big muff side. This is what I always use with this pedal. Just a great sounding big muff. And then the Tone Reaper side. This will definitely get you to that Jimmy Page territory. incredibly versatile pedal. This is one that I'll keep forever. I really love the Hoof Reaper. So if you're looking for one fuzz pedal to do everything and you need the octave, which I would highly recommend, Hoof Reaper might be what you're looking for. So those are some of my favorite fuzz pedals. Some of them. If I actually made a whole video talking about every fuzz pedal that I love, it would be probably like an hour and a half long, and that just doesn't work for YouTube. So those are a selection of fuzzes that I'm in love with right now. If you guys like this video, and if it does well, I actually might turn this into a series. My favorite overdrives, or my favorite guitars, my favorite speakers, whatever you guys want to know, let me know in the comments section down below. Also, a quick announcement. This actually might be the last video that I shoot in this room here. If you haven't heard, my wife and I bought a house and we are in the process of moving. In fact, when this video goes live, we're actually in the process of moving into the new house. I will have a new home studio tour video coming later this week. And if you're watching this video later, it's available somewhere around here in the description box below. But this is a huge moment. I've been working out of this space for the last 3 years. I built my YouTube channel in this room, and it's gonna be kind of sad to leave it. I'll still have some gear here and be working on some other projects. That'll be all shown and talked about in the next video that I've got coming out, the home studio video. But it's the end of an era for me, at least. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has watched these videos, who have subscribed to this channel, people who have bought video courses and Helix presets. It's because of you that my wife and I were able to buy our first home. It's a pretty crazy thing, actually, when you think about it. And we have big plans for this new home. I've got big plans for what I want to do with this YouTube channel in the new home. And it would not be possible without you guys and your support. So thank you once again. As always, I'm Rhett Shull. Thank you for watching. And remember, there is no plan B.